What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Rahul. I am back in action from Costa Rica. Just came back like 2 hours ago, 2.5 hours ago. So we're gonna jump right in. No dilly-dallying around. I finished top four at the Costa Rica special event, losing to a good buddy of mine, Typelekia, in top four. He's playing Malamar spell tag, and I'll get to where I get there. Um, this is the list I played. Zoroark, Weavile, Ninetales. I mean, can't be too upset. Top four is pretty good. I got a buttload of points. Got my Worlds invite. This will be the fourth consecutive year I've earned my invitation to the World Championships, and it'll be in my hometown of Washington D.C. So I'm pretty excited to go home and compete. Puts me in ninth overall in North America also right now. So maybe I can make a push depending on how Australia and Collinsville go for me, because I will be taking a break coming up in a bit. So my focus will probably shift to like cups and stuff rather than traveling. So I can finish up school without having any issues. That being said, let's dive right on into the list. There's Ditto Prism here, pretty good any Zoroark deck. A Rangaroo was for any mill, stall, whatever I could possibly hit. Pretty useless card. I would probably cut it in like a local cup environment unless you had mill or stall. A Slugma would have been pretty good, I think, to have my Ditto be third Sneasel, fifth Zorua, stuff like that, and have the Ditto be an exclusive Muck thing pretty much, and have a Slugma for the Macargo. Because I think Slugma would have been really good in this deck. Because Macargo was actually super, super, super good. Like, actually insane. I played a 2-2 Weavile. Weavile is pretty much the main focus attacker of the deck with Evil Admonition. The goal is to be a hyper-aggressive Weavile deck. And if they don't go with abilities, then you just attack with Zoroark. And if they're not playing abilities, a lot of the time, their deck's probably just worse than mine. 4-4 Zoroark, the lifeblood of this deck. The Macargo, the Muck, are to go from the Ditto. Muck is for things like Gramble and stuff, and then the Macargo is just to set up in other matchups. 2 Lele, standard stuff, and then 2-2 Ninetales. The reason I played Ninetales over Lycanroc is because I think Ninetales gives you a better Bullsiflon matchup, because you have a GX attack that takes a free 2 prizes regardless of how their bench is set up, and most of the time they'll have 3 abilities or so in play, so you can go 2 prizes with Weavile, 2 prizes with Ninetales, and more than likely pick off 2 small things in the medium. So that's why I went the route I did. Ninetales also kind of ensures that you can set up something like going Ninetales turn 2 into like a timer ball to start setting up, or Ninetales into like the enhanced hammer, or Ninetales into the choice band or counter gain, and just kind of it gives you the options of getting these cute cards and like ensuring you get a ton of damage off with Weavile, which is why I did that. The Lycanroc would have probably been better heading into this weekend, considering the matchups that I faced, I want to say, but we'll see. Because I'm playing Ninetales, a counter catch is a given, and so is the enhanced hammer. One of tech cards like Pal Pad and Rescue Stretcher all kind of fit the bill that I can dig out how I want them to with the Ninetales, and I can use them when I need to. 2 Timer Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, just set up stuff. 2 Devoured Field, a third would have been really nice. I think at a couple of points I felt, but I didn't really need it because there wasn't that many Buzzgarb Shrine. The biggest problem was dealing with the round 1 deck. I'll explain that I honestly think like was the toughest match of my entire tournament. 2 Astral was really good, 2 Cynthia, 3 Guzma. Pretty standard stuff. Really liked this. The 1 Judge was really instrumental to a lot of my success. 4 Elm, standard, and 2 Kukui, and 3 Choice. This is like the big damage dealing, the big get in there, do a ton of damage, help my numbers out a lot. The 1 counter gain was really, really good. I actually didn't use it too much, I want to say, because I felt like I was playing from ahead a lot of the time, but I didn't play against any Bullsiflon, so that was also another, I guess, card that would have helped in that matchup as opposed to just the matchups that I hit. 4 DC and 4 unit, pretty standard stuff. The unit can go anywhere. I can set up for Tricksters. I can set up for, every other attacker in my deck. So we get to Costa Rica. I go ziplining, did a bunch of fun stuff. I'll try to include that in the vlog. Pictures up on my Instagram, Twitter. If you guys aren't following me there, please do. That's more of like my personal life stuff. This is more my tournament and serious stuff. That being said, Thursday was really fun. I was pretty tired after Thursday. All Friday. Got back to the hotel. I knew from the beginning of the week that I'd be playing. I wanted to play a deck that countered Malamar or play Malamar again. So the only 2 decks I brought with me were Zoroark, Lycanroc, Weavile cards. And Ninetales, of course, just was with me because I had stage 2 box built, and Malamars. And that's pretty much all I brought with me the deck-wise. And I didn't know anything at all about this meta. I didn't know anything about the players. There was no results to be found. I couldn't determine anything. All I knew is that I had fellow Americans that were more than likely playing Malamar, and I was on that train as well for a good bit. But I abandoned ship midway through the week when I was testing this a little bit, and I thought that it was testing really well. And Weavile, I just wanted to play Weavile again. I wanted to play Zoroark again. It's been a long time. This is basically like very similar to my LAIC list, the one I played, the Zoroark Banette one. Just the Banettes became Ninetales, and I didn't play a one Lycanroc. I said I have these two bad boys. So I mean, it's a very familiar concept to me, and it's a concept I really enjoyed playing back in LAIC. So I wanted to do it again. And I was confident that no matter what I played, I would be able to have the skill to outplay somebody else. And Zoroark is the best deck that gives me the ability to do so. Malamar as well, but those are my only two options really coming into this. So round one, I went up against a local player, and I learned for the first time what Alolan Meowth did. 10 plus 60 if they're going second for no energy cost. He opted to go second game one, and I was like, okay, this is very strange. And he went did a bunch of stuff, and then went nest ball escape rope into the Meowth, and I was like, wait, what? And he took a prize. And I was like, oh, cool. I lost game one because I didn't know what his deck did, and I didn't understand how to play around it. He was playing Weavile, a Alolan Persian that does 90 minus 30 for each energy attachment active for no energy cost, Umbreon, Retaliate 30 plus 90 if a Pokemon got knocked out last turn, Orangaroos, and Stadiums. It was very strange. Game two went a lot more in my favor because I understood how to play around it. The shrines and not overbenching and not playing into stuff and just chasing the Weaviles and mucking out the Orangaroo, which is exactly what I did. The following game got a little dicey because I went turn one Elm and then he killed the Ditto turn two with the Guzma. But we got to the late game where there was a position where he had run out of 4 Guzmas and 3 escape rope. And I was like, okay, I think he's out of everything. And my Alolan Ninetales had 180 on it, and and he had Stadium out, and I needed to find a counter Stadium, and I did. I did find the counter Stadium, and I counter Stadium, and he put his Shrine down, and I don't think he understood. I mean, that was my second Stadium, I believe. I think he thought I played more than 2, so he wanted to take the guaranteed 2 prizes. I asked him after the game why, and he said, I think he said he needed to find his last Umbreon or last Weavile or something that was prized. And so he went counter catcher, bring up my Ninetales, and take 2 prizes. And had he just let the Shrine tick twice, I would have lost the game had he brought up something like a Zoroark and hit it, because he had a Sneasel on his bench, and I couldn't Guzma and Ace Roll on the same turn, which was, a really big problem for me. But because of that, I was able to Guzma up the Weavile, a Sneasel, kill it. He came up, retaliated me. I Ace Rolled. I brought up a dude, killed his active, I think, and then just won the game. Or I think I just Kukui'd and knocked him out. And it was honestly the closest game I had played all day against a deck that I didn't understand, because he played Skull Grunts and Enhanced Hammers and stuff, and I don't understand. I didn't understand. I was scared the whole time, and I thought I was going to lose. So 1-0. The following round, I played up against a Solgaleo, straight Solgaleo, Swampert Ninetales deck that utilized Metal Energies and Fairies. The first game, he had a really crappy start, where he Beacon turn 1. No, nothing, just active Vulpix, bench Cosmog, Beacon, and then I set up, I had a Zoroark in hand, I hit 1 Timer Ball heads, I got the Macargo, I had a DC in hand, and so I went attach, and then Macargo for the Guzma, kill this dude, and then he set up his board, and then rather than just going for a Guzma, I needed to actually set up because the rest of my hand was kind of dead. So I just went ahead and smoothed over a Cynthia, traded into that and Cynthia to set up. And then once I had set up, I knocked out his Vulpix to go to 2-2. The following turn, he brings up Dude, has a Lele on board, so he has Lele, Solgaleo, Ninetales, and Swampert. So he's 4 abilities in play, and he uses the GX to Soul Burst to set up his board. And I'm looking for a DCE off my trade, so I can now go Guzma into the one that he put energies on the bench and knock it out and just clean up the game. Or a choice band or a Kukui, because I can retreat into the Weavile and one shot. Or an energy. I think I needed a lot of pieces for either combo, and I did not find anything. So I simply smoothed over the Macargo, put an energy on top, retreated into the Weavile, hit him for 230 with a choice band. Um, because I wanted to keep my Zoroark alive. I didn't want to actually like lose it. Because I think I only had 2 out and my bench was kind of cluttered. And then he retreated, or he used Ultra Road into the new guy, candied out the new guy, max potion the bench guy. That was a super boost though, so it was really cool. And then he used the 120 attack on my active and then set up the bench one again. Um, yeah, that's exactly what he did. And then my turn came. I promoted my Sneasel, evolved it, stretchered the 2 back in. I think I got the Sneasel back attached. He already had 5 abilities in play, so it's a pretty easy KO. I took that knockout, and then he promoted the other dude, and then I think he just knocked out my active, and then I had Guzma plus it was Weavile combo again to just knock out and win the game. And then game 2 was pretty much the ideal start I could ask for. I got triple Zoroark and like Macargo. He think he mulliganed like 3 or 4 times, so I had like triple Zoroark Macargo like turn 2, turn 3, and he was forced to put 4 abilities into play very early. So I pretty much just set up like a double Sneasel combo, no Ninetales, did get a single Ninetales out, and just started swarming him. At one point, I put a Vulpix down, and he only had 4 abilities in play. At that point, and he killed my Macargo. And so at that point, I went to just Ninetales for the choice band, and then I think a timer or something, thin my deck, and then just trade, Kukui, knock out his active. And it was, both games were pretty clean from my end. I think the matchup was very favored for me just because of my heavy Weavile line. So that was a quick 2-0. And now I'm 2-0. And then the organizer informs me. I go up and ask because somebody tells me that we only have 5 rounds. But I was sure that with 30, we have 6. I mean, I could still be wrong. I haven't looked this up since I got home. But I was under the impression that we would only be having, so we'd have 6 rounds, so I need to win 2 more to make top 8. And some 4-2s would make it, yada yada, like, all the good old stuff. And so I went and talked to the organizer, and he told me that we'd only be having 5 rounds because Tom told him 5 rounds. And I said, okay, that's fine. I just need to win the 1 more. And me and my buddy Greg were both 2-0, so I was hoping I wouldn't hit him because he was playing Sceptile. I didn't really know how to beat that. I'm just assuming I Weavile him. And then go from there. That was my entire game plan. Weavile him and go from there. I think in that matchup, Oranguru would have actually been helpful because I guess I get to recycle my energies once he pops them off my actives. Yeah. And so I proceeded to go up against the Gramble that was also undefeated. He was playing Zebstrika. I think a catcher. I'm not sure. I didn't see one. But he played the Zebstrika. He played Macargo for sure. But both games, pretty much, I got a very early muck and just was able to cycle Acerulas, Kukuis. I didn't even one shot a couple turns. I just hit the active because I knew he was Macargoing like Diantha on top or something. So I needed to save for Guzma the following turn. And I pretty much just had a very quick 2-0 sweep on that matchup just because he couldn't deal with the muck. And I just played it correctly where I didn't take knockouts where I needed to, let him hit for 30 or like 160 or whatever, and then Guzma the bench things, and then eventually just start healing my board up with Acerolas, and then Palpad stuff back in based on what I needed to do, and then just close out the game. That being said, if he did play like a catcher or something, he could have or like if he had maybe set his board up correctly, he could have Guzman up my muck with zero bench and decked me, which is why I actually threw a DC onto the muck. DC onto the muck because I was very scared of that happening. And I had DCs left, so I was very prepared for that outcome. Because that is the only way I could have lost one of the games, and I was very scared that it would happen. So 3-0, I go up against my buddy Greg. He's playing Sceptile. We ID. 3-1 should lock us in. Next pairings, round 5 goes up. It's me versus Pablo. Pablo's playing Guardy. Pablo wants to make sure we're guaranteed. I do the math. If tables 1, 2 ID, 3, 4, 5, and 6 would be playing for the last 4 slots in top cut. So we ID and chill for a little bit, and top cut is determined. We have our top 8. Then I go up against Pablo again, unfortunately, and he's playing Guardy. Game 1 I ran pretty hot, I'd like to say, and kind of was like hitting my ace rolls when I needed to. I had Guzman basically turn 2, and I had like a choice of either killing one of his Ralts. He had 2 Ralts in play, a Mudkip and a Vulpix, and he went second, and he attached to the bench Ralts and not the active, and retreated and beaconed, and so I knew his hand was probably pretty bad, because if he had a pretty good hand, he would have beaconed and like forgone the Ninetales. So I Guzma up the Vulpix, killed it, and then he did the same thing next turn, and then I Guzma up Vulpix, killed it, and then he Synthiated into Candy Guardy. I hit the Guardy, and then he one-shot me, and then I hit the Guardy, knocked it out, and then he hit me for 120, I think, and then I Ace rolled that Zoroark, benched a Sneasel, and then hit his active for 100, and then he scooped the game, because I don't think he had a way to deal with Sneasel at that point, because he had 3 abilities in play, I think, and I could have just Guzma up the Lele the following turn. Game 2, I had a really, really rough start because I opened Lele and the other Lele was prized and I didn't have an Elm. So I Ultra Balled for a Zorua. He attached to his Vulpix turn 1 because he wanted a Lily for more cards. And so I had the DCE already though, because my hand was like double DCE, like unit or something. So I attached the DCE, knocked him out, took a prize. He did his turn. I drew. I think he hit me with Lele for 80. I drew. I enhanced hammered. I evolved into Zork. I traded. I hit an Elm, so I Elm. And then I hit him for 40. And then he goes DCE choice band knockout on my active. I promote the Zoroark. I stead up. I go, and then I hit Cynthia. So I Cynthia and I started digging. I missed the DCE. I had a choice band. I already tested choice band, and then I hit. I go Cynthia and I missed the DCE here. So now Pablo has a chance to come back into this. He retreats, I think, and hits me with Guardy or something. I don't really remember this turn very clearly, but I think I Ace Rolla and then I kill his active, and then he comes up and he hits me with Guardy, and then I Weavile knocked him out, I believe, and then I Weavile knocked him out for the game. Basically, Weavile did a lot of work because he had to be forced into putting abilities down at a certain point, and the game just kind of snowballed into my favor. So another 2-0 for me. And then we move into top 4 against Ty. The matchup should be very, very favored to me because he's playing Malamar Spell Tag. But he's playing 2 Chimecho and a Marshadow and 2 Stretchers. So it's a little bit dicey because he has a lot of ways to reuse these counter cards to me. The first game I make a very crucial misplay by elming for a Ditto. And I mean, the game plan was to find a Weavile pretty early, but I couldn't. I just could not find a Weavile to evolve the Ditto. And I had to knock, and he opened, like, his hand was just chime perfect, and he was, like, not playing any cards from his hand, he was just chiming, and he had a spell tag, and so I eventually knocked him out with Ram, Stampede. I literally had Unit, Devoured, Stampede, and I knocked him out, and he had spell tag, so he put 3 on Ditto, 1 on something else, and then Giratina killed it, and then he started chiming with the Marshadow, and then I killed that with the Weavile, but he then went Stretcher, Marshadow, Guzma GX on my Zoroark, and the prize trade was now 2-2, I think. Yes, I don't know. I was just one prize too far behind for making anything happen. Based on the way I had played, and I was kicking myself for that game. Game 2, I took 4 prizes in like the first 3 turns, and he picked his cards up. Game 3, he was chiming me. Everything was going pretty well. He was down 2 Necrozmas, a Marshadow, a Stretcher, 2 Chimes, 3 Treasure, I think 2 Ultra Ball were all gone. And so I'm up 3 prizes, I want to say, at this point or something. He kills my Lele. No, I'm at 5. He's at 6. He uses Marshadow to kill my Lele with Prismatic Burst. I bring up Zoroark. I go Macargo. I have the knockout on board already, but I want to set up a little more, and I prize double Cynthia, and they're in my last 5 prizes. So I have to use Judge. But he has a pretty big hand, so I'm like thinking, okay, he's probably holding like Malamars and stuff, because at this point he played them down, but he's like, at this point, like, you know, I have to play into Weavile from his perspective. And so I go into that, and then I set up a couple more stuff on the bench, knock him out, go to 2. He goes promote. He goes promote. Literally perfect. He goes promote, draw, treasure away the Dawnwings, because he needed to find the Dawnwings. Treasure away Dawnwings, Lele for Guzma, second and final Stretcher for Marshadow. Marshadow, bring up my And then last card in hand, the Guzma, and then he has one card left in hand. I think it was Ultra Ball. So Guzma's up my Zoroark on bench. Dawnwings GXs takes 2 prizes. He has 3 cards in hand total now. I go promote. I draw, set up, do my trades and stuff. Weavile, choice band or Weavile energy. Guzma up the Lele. Take my 2 prizes. Go to 1. So now Guzma's game for me. The following turn, regardless what happens, he goes, draws for turn. The top deck is his Guzma. I really couldn't play around that. I don't think. Couldn't really stop that when you're drawing that like well. And I mean, he admitted it right after that he drew pretty hot. Like it was pretty much the perfect cards because I counted. He was out of a lot of discard cards. He was down I think 2 or 3 acro bikes also. He had a lot of cards left in deck, a lot of energy left in deck too. So I was pretty confident that like he wouldn't have a way to get Dawnwings, put it in the discard, and get a Mars Shadow all in the same turn. I was like, if he has to Dawnwings me this turn, then like you Dawnwings me for 180 or whatever, and or 180, and like it's not enough because he's not playing choice band. So I knew he would never get to that number he needed to get to. And he was already down 2 regular Necrozmas, a Stretcher, and a Mars Shadow, so he was down a lot of resources. And I pretty much was, I mean, that one was a little bit of like a, what are you going to do about it? Like, he got me, you know? So that wraps up my report and deck list. If you're going to Oceania or Collinsville, this list is still pretty good. I would just cut the Ninetales, probably put in Lycanroc. You could cut the Countercatcher for something like Multi-Switch. I don't think Rangaroo is necessary anymore. I think you can cut a Rangaroo for like a Slugma, probably, in my opinion. I think you can't play Ninetales anymore because you don't have a reliable way to one-shot Pikazek in the new format. So that's my, I guess, take on the matter. Otherwise, I really like the deck, and it did its job. It did its purpose of getting me 130 points, putting me in 9th overall in North America, and I mean, we'll have to see how Australia goes, right? If you guys like the video, leave a like. I'd really, really appreciate that. Likes are huge for me. Leave a comment. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitch. I haven't been streaming much because this month's been busy. But once I'm back from my 2 more tournaments, I will be streaming again, and I will be back on the road to, doing some fun team-up content as soon as I'm back. I'll be leaving to Australia in, like, by the time you guys see this, in, like, 2 days. So, yeah, support me. Love you guys, and I'm back, baby. Don't forget about me.